So you're not a fan of mine,
I
no?
am.
What nonsense.
I am.
इतना मैंने podcast किया not.
मैंने start में बोला.
उस दिन पुलिस रणवीर और समय रैना के पीछे गई. उस दिन छत्तीसगढ़ हाई कोर्ट में एक पति को छोड़ा गया. उसने अपनी वाइफ का डोंट ब्लर दिस. उसने अपनी वाइफ का रेप किया था एनल सेक्स करते. She bled to death on anal sex. And what a god. My Shiva is everything to me. मेरा शिवा से बहुत क्लोज रिलेशनशिप है. मैं उनकी बहुत साधना करता हूँ.
अच्छा.
खास करते भैरवा की. नुपुर ने जो गलत बोला उस कोर्ट तय करेगा. मॉब्स आकर सर तन से जुदा नहीं चिल्लाएंगे. यार एक आदमी साधारण परिवार से 3rd टाइम प्राइम मिनिस्टर बनना, 3 टाइम वो पहले चीफ मिनिस्टर थे. I mean his life is a success story.
I think we never knew this side of Tehseen Poonawalla.
Yeah, I'm a fighter. You can beat me, you can put me down, but you can't fucking defeat me. I am unfucking defeatable. Why do we as a policy, we don't work on mental health and see how we can make our nation more powerful? Because once we are a more relaxed and calm nation. Now let's look at the example. कोई ना कोई अब offend होगा, फिर तोड़-फोड़ करेंगे. इस स्टूडियो पे मत करो. ये स्टूडियो का ना मैं मालिक हूँ ना खुशी है. Please don't break the studio.
स्टूडियो में ना शुक्र मनावा.
क्यों ना शुक्र मनावा.
नमस्कार, मैं हूँ आपकी होस्ट खुशी के गुंद और आज की हमारी नमा टॉक्स की गेस्ट चेयर पे एक बहुत स्पेशल गेस्ट है, तहसीन पूनावाला जी, जो जाने जाते हैं एज अ पॉलिटिकल एनालिस्ट और उन्होंने बहुत डिबेट्स की हैं, अपने सेंट्रिस्ट व्यूज़ को आगे रखा है एंड पॉलिटिकल वर्ल्ड में एक अपनी जगह बनाई है. बट नमा टॉक्स में हम इस बारे में बात नहीं करने वाले. आज के इस पॉडकास्ट में हमने तहसीन जी की एक ऐसी साइड देखी है जो शायद ही कोई लोग जानते होंगे. हमने तहसीन जी से बात की अबाउट अ लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स जो उन्होंने आज से पहले कभी की ही नहीं, बी इट हिज स्पिरिचुअल नॉलेज या साइंटिफिक नॉलेज एंड उनके व्यूज़ फॉर अ फ्यूचरिस्टिक इंडिया. हमने बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग टॉपिक्स पे बात की है, तो मेक श्योर इस एपिसोड को एंड तक देखिएगा टू नो कि कैसे इंडिया आगे बढ़ सकता है और अपने रूट से दोबारा कनेक्ट कर सकता है. अपने फ्रेंड्स और फैमिली तक शेयर करिएगा एंड चैनल को सब्सक्राइब करना मत भूलिएगा. लेट्स गेट इनटू इट. नमस्कार तहसीन जी. हम हमारे चैनल पे जब भी स्टार्ट करते हैं एपिसोड को तो हम नमस्कार बोलते हैं. एंड वेलकम टू नमा टॉक्स. बहुत अच्छा लगा आपने हमें टाइम दिया. इट्स आवर प्लेजर टू हैव यू. एंड हमारी ऑडियंस के लिए भी ये बहुत बड़ी बात है कि आपकी वो कॉन्वर्सेशन मेरे साथ सुनेंगे आज. बहुत मज़ा आने वाला है. लेट्स जस्ट गेट इनटू इट, इम्प्रेस आवर ऑडियंस, हैव फन and talk about all things that are relevant today.
Namaskar Khushi, and thank you so much for having me on Namah Talks. It's my pleasure. और fun तो we will have a lot. बहुत मज़ा करेंगे और audience को भी मज़ा देंगे.
Okay. Done. So when I've been going through your profiles and I follow you on Twitter as well, X. Then I recently went through your tweet that appreciated Kesari 2 and Chava. So that brings me to my question that ki we have not been educated about these heroes, our warriors, and we didn't know the name of these heroes. So what do you think? It's the responsibility of the government, the education system, to tell us about the people like this in our country and not just who invaded our country.
Thank you Khushi. So thank you for going through my X profile. देखिए मेन चीज़ इसमें 2 चीज़ें, एंड वन आई डोंट एग्री विथ यू. जैसे छत्रपति संभाजी महाराज या छत्रपति शिवाजी महाराज या हाल में जो राणा सांगा का कंट्रोवर्सी हुआ. प्रॉब्लम इज के मे बी you all may not have studied enough about it, but it was all there in our books. How did I know about it? I've studied it. Chhatrapati Sambhaji Maharaj, I've studied it. So these are things that we have studied.
Okay.
It's not that we haven't. The issue is maybe we've not studied in detail. Maybe students are not very they didn't want to get into history in that much detail. So that could be the issue. But I disagree with the fact that we were not taught about it. Number one. If we were not taught about it, how do we know the history now? That's one. Now, to the larger question that you raised, supporting Chava or supporting or speaking about Rana Sanga or Kesari movie. You see, these are our heroes. Now, when it comes to Chhatrapati Sambhaji Maharaj, Aurangzeb in his own autobiography writes how he tortured Sambhaji Maharaj.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it is bizarre that somebody or some random person says Aurangzeb was a good king. Aurangzeb may have inherited a great kingdom. Himself is responsible for destroying that great kingdom. In the last 30 years of his life, he moved from Delhi to the Deccan Plateau, that is Maharashtra, where I come from, and spent his life in trying to expand the Mughal Empire into the Deccan area and beyond, and mostly losing wars and battles. And he bankrupted and he began the decline of the Mughal Empire. So Aurangzeb, the last 30 years of his life was spent in destroying his own empire, which he inherited. How can you call him a great king? And in his own words, he committed a lot of atrocities. So he's not a great king. So I don't understand where does the controversy of him being a great king or a great emperor come from. In fact, he sped up the decline of his own empire.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So it's, you are trying to say that it's not the education system's fault. It's that we ignored, or we did selectively learned about the Mughals or the Britishers, but we have not focused on the heroes of our culture.
See, these were stories in our textbooks. Whether you remember them or no, whether you studied in detail or no, is upon you. I can't speak for you. I can speak for myself.
Okay.
Chhatrapati Sambhaji Maharaj, Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, Rana Sangha, I studied all of this in school. तो मुझे बहुत, I get very surprised जब बीजेपी वाले खड़े होते कहते हमने पढ़ाई नहीं की. वे बीजेपी वाले वैसे पढ़ाई नहीं करते कुछ, तो उनको तो मैं सीरियसली लेता नहीं हूँ. But genuinely, this was there in our textbooks. Maybe little less in quantity, maybe something else was more. That I'm not denying. But it was there.
Okay.
And if it's not there, you can make these historical wrongs right. See, we sometimes tend to get confused on two separate issues. What our school books teach us is one aspect to it. What movies are is a second aspect to it. Now, movies and history books are two separate issues. The school education system or the books the government has to monitor, change, make it relevant, add more things, or decide what it needs to remove, what it needs to increase. That can't be compared to a movie. A movie cannot replace a school education curriculum, right?
Agreed.
Movies are made by private people.
Yeah,
Just like this podcast is made by a private person.
of course.
आपको एक मूवी पसंद आई आप देखो, नहीं पसंद आई आप बाहर आ जाओ. आपको मूवी पसंद है उससे बेटर मूवी बनाओ, कोई और पिक्चर बनाओ. कोई किताब पसंद नहीं है आप किताब मत पढ़ो, कोई और किताब लिखो, कोई और किताब पढ़ो. बट ये तो आपको अधिकार नहीं है कि आप उस पर वायलेंस करो.
Yeah.
आप उसको क्रिटिसाइज कर सकते हो, आप उसको ना देखो, वो आपका अधिकार है. बट यू कांट डू वायलेंस.
Yeah.
The violence with Chava or related to Chava stunned me. You can't do that. That's not acceptable. And I think that is an area we need to focus on as a nation. Why are we becoming so intolerant of different points of views? I think that we have to discuss that.
I think that is alarming as well. What's your take on Rana Sanga controversy then?
So, देखिए, Rana Sanga was one of the greatest warriors our country's produced. With a cut hand, a cut arm, a cut leg, lost one eye, and he still led the battlefront. Where is it written in which history that he and Babur were friends? Nowhere, except in Babur Nama. And are we going to now believe Babur? Rana Sanga's last battle was to remove Babur from India, was to kick him out. हमने अब देखिए, कोई मेंबर ऑफ पार्लियामेंट थे, वो खड़े होकर उन्होंने पढ़ा, वो उन्होंने गलत बोला है, गलत कोट किया. और ठीक है, उन्होंने बाबरनामा से कोट किया, वो अलग विषय है. बट आप किसी को गद्दार तो नहीं कह सकते. राणा संगा वॉज एनीथिंग बट अ गद्दार. उनका his last battle was to defeat बाबर. उनको भारत से बाहर निकालना था. उस बैटल के बाद when they retreated, उनको treacherously पॉइजन किया गया.
अच्छा.
या अब देखिए, मैंने तो ये सब हिस्ट्री में पढ़ा है. अब भाजपा वालों ने नहीं पढ़ा, वो अलग चीज़ है. बट चलो, मैं भाजपा को छोड़ता हूँ. वो सपा के एमपी ने भी नहीं पढ़ा था ये बात, तो कोई और चीज़ उन्होंने बोल दी, उस पर विवाद हो गया. आप ये कह सकते हो कि मैंने बाबरनामा में ये पढ़ा है, इस पर हम डिबेट कर सकते हैं. दैट इज़ फाइन. बट आई डोंट थिंक यू शुड कॉल समबडी लाइक अ राणा सांगा अ गद्दार. ही वाज द सन ऑफ माँ भारती. उसको आप गद्दार कह रहे हो? मतलब कौन सा पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू है? एंड आई हैव अ वेरी सिंपल क्वेश्चन. औरंगजेब हो या बाबर हो, इससे भारत के मुसलमान को क्या लेना देना? भारत के मुसलमान को विकास चाहिए, प्रोग्रेस चाहिए, एजुकेशन चाहिए, जॉब्स चाहिए. आप औरंगजेब, राणा सांगा, वो एक एक्ट्रेस है, उसने छावा पर कंट्रोवर्सी कर दी. मोहतरमा ने MBA को हरा दिया चुनाव के अंदर. जाते ऐसे मौलाना से मिली जो बड़े भाई का कुर्ता और छोटे भाई का पैजामा पहनकर कहते तालिबान अच्छा है, अपने शौहर को जिताने के जोश में एमबीए को हरा दिया। अब वो कहती है छावा मूवी हमारे छत्रपति संभाजी महाराज का जो टॉर्चर था वो फिक्शनल था। वो स्वयं औरंगजेब ने ही इज एंटर्ड इट इन हिज ओन ऑटोबायोग्राफी हाउ ही टॉर्चर छत्रपति संभाजी महाराज। तेग बहादुर जी को उन्होंने किस तरह से टॉर्चर किया है खुद औरंगजेब ने लिखा है। जो छत्रपति संभाजी महाराज थे, तेग बहादुर जी थे, उनको तो औरंगजेब ने टॉर्चर किया, अपने इतिहास में लिखा है। अब आप उसको फिक्शनल कहोगे, दिस इज स्टनिंग।
अच्छा, I think what is appealing to the youth is that the views you have are very logical, very relevant, and it connects to them as well, what they think. If we think about rational thinking, na, that's what you stand on, rational thinking. And that's why I want your take on another controversy as well, which is the recent one, Kunal Kamra.
Yeah.
So it's a very बहुत ज़्यादा कंट्रोवर्सी हो रही है. सम पीपल हैव डिफरेंट व्यूज़. कई लोग कह रहे हैं कि ही गॉट अ टेस्ट ऑफ हिज ओन मेडिसिन. व्हाट्स योर टेक ऑन दैट?
I don't like his comedy. He's a friend of mine.
ओके.
I don't like his comedy. I don't think it was funny. But इसमें दो एस्पेक्ट है. He has a right to criticize. और आपको राइट नहीं वायलेंस करने का.
Exactly.
You have no right to beat him up. कल किसी को ये पॉडकास्ट पसंद नहीं आया, they don't have a right to come and break the studio. या आपको अटैक करे. आप दूसरा पॉडकास्ट करो, आप आपके पॉडकास्ट के अगेंस्ट कुछ करो, आपको क्रिटिसाइज कर सकते हैं. इस पॉडकास्ट को, हमारे पॉडकास्ट को क्रिटिसाइज कर सकते हैं लोग, बट वायलेंस करने का किसी को अधिकार नहीं. वो दैट इज़ रॉन्ग. और धमकी देना कुणाल कामरा को गलत है. डिड आई लाइक व्हाट ही डिड? नो. बट आई थिंक द सपोर्टर्स ऑफ एकनाथ शिंदे जी, आई थिंक लिटिल इमेच्योर. ये पॉडकास्ट वो जो शो था उनका जो उन्होंने अपलोड किया था, उसको कई दिन हो गए. और वो शो को कहीं शायद 1 महीना भी हो गया होगा जब उन्होंने वो शो किया. किसी को पता नहीं था उसके बारे में. आपने स्वयं रिएक्ट करते पूरे भारत ने वो 45 मिनट्स का क्लिप देखा. उसके पहले किसी ने देखा ही नहीं था. तो एक कमेडियन जिसका करियर ऑलमोस्ट खत्म हो गया था, आप ही ने उसको रिवाइव कर दिया. व्हाट वाज द पॉइंट? हु हैड सीन इट? एटलीस्ट आई हैड नॉट सीन इट टिल इट बिकेम एन इशू. फिर मैंने 45 मिनट्स की क्लिप देखी. आई डिडंट फाइंड इट फनी. आपने उस पर कॉन्ट्रोवर्सी किया. 99% लोगों को समझ में नहीं आया होता कि वो एकनाथ शिंदे जी के बारे में है. 99% लोगों को. आप ही ने उस पर जो हमारे मुंबई में एक लैंग्वेज है राड़ा करते, वो मुंबई की लैंग्वेज है, आप ही ने उसके ऊपर दंगा करते, तो मुंबई में उसको राड़ा कहते हैं, राड़ा करते, आपने उसको फैला दिया. क्या मतलब था? और वायलेंस इज नॉट एक्सेप्टेबल. ना आप कह दो हम किसी को मारेंगे, एक्सेप्टेबल नहीं. अच्छा, आपने किसको क्या तोड़ा? आपने वो हैबिटेट
लोकेशन का वेन्यू
क्लब तोड़ा, वो वेन्यू. वो तो कुणाल कामरा का है नहीं. वो किसी और का है. वहाँ पर गरीब लोग काम करते होंगे. वहाँ पर कोई ऐसा मैनेजर होगा जिसकी माँ या भाई या घर में कोई बीमार होगा, जिसने कोई लोन लिया होगा. आपने उनको उसकी अपनी नौकरी निकालवा दी क्योंकि अब वो क्लब बंद हो गया है. वो कहाँ से अब आगे सर्वाइव करेगा? वहाँ पर गरीब लोग होंगे जो वहाँ पर काम करते, उनकी नौकरी का क्या? प्रोडक्शन टीम होगी, उनकी नौकरी का क्या? आपने उनके बारे में नहीं सोचा. तो ये 10-15 मिनट की, आधा घंटे की पब्लिसिटी के लिए आप लोगों से लड़ाई करो, मुझे लगता है गलत है. वही हुआ वो जो करनी सेना ने पहला पद्मावत पर किए, अब वो एमपी के खिलाफ उन्होंने तोड़फोड़ किया. एमपी ने राणा सांगा जी के बारे में बहुत गलत बोला. आप प्रिविलेज मोशन निकाल दीजिए पार्लियामेंट में. आपको तोड़फोड़ करने का तो अधिकार है नहीं ना. वायलेंस कैन नॉट बी अ सोल्यूशन. जहाँ पर भी भीड़ इकट्ठा हो गई, कोई वायलेंस कर दिया, फिर लोग सुरक्षित नहीं रहेंगे. और जहाँ पर भी भीड़ हिंसा होती है, जहाँ पर भी भीड़ तंत्र होता है, वहाँ लोकतंत्र नहीं रहता है. ये गलत है. यू कांट हैव मोबोक्रेसी. वी आर अ डेमोक्रेसी. प्लीज बाय ऑल मीन्स बॉयकॉट. You have a right to boycott. You can't have a right to do violence. Even if I disagree with Kunal, you can't do violence. What nonsense is this? This is not acceptable.
That brings me to the topic of freedom of speech then. Do you think India does have freedom of speech?
Yes, it does have freedom of speech, but increasingly that place is shrinking. And I feel that people of all political parties and ideologies, all religion, एक दूसरे के लिए हमें खड़े होना है. चाहे आप बीजेपी की सपोर्टर हो और मैं कांग्रेस का हूँ, मुझे आपके फ्रीडम ऑफ स्पीच के लिए और आपको मेरे फ्रीडम ऑफ स्पीच के लिए खड़ा होना पड़ेगा. वी कैन नॉट गिव दिस पावर टू द पुलिस एंड द गवर्नमेंट. एंड पुलिस शुड ऑल्सो अंडरस्टैंड. पुलिस शुड अंडरस्टैंड कि पॉलिटिशियंस के बोलने पर दे कैन नॉट फाइल फेक केसेस. In fact, I was very surprised in that whole Ranveer Alabadia case. इतने सारे केसेस महाराष्ट्र की पुलिस, राजस्थान की पुलिस, आसाम की पुलिस फाइल कर रही, आसाम की पुलिस
Yeah.
आसाम छोड़कर मुंबई और पुणे में सबको ढूंढ रही. Are crimes over in Assam? What nonsense is this? These officers should stand up to the chief minister and tell him no. क्या कर देंगे चीफ मिनिस्टर? आपको ट्रांसफर करेंगे, आप IAS हो, IPS हो, पुलिस तो IPS होती है या स्टेट कार्डर के होते, आपको ट्रांसफर करेगी, उससे ज़्यादा क्या कर सकते हैं? नौकरी से तो नहीं निकाल सकते. स्टैंड अप टू योर बॉसेस. Guard freedom of speech. एंड कोर्ट शुड ऑल्सो स्टैंड अप वेरी स्ट्रांगली फॉर फ्रीडम ऑफ स्पीच. ये बेल आपको लोअर कोर्ट में मिलना चाहिए, आप सुप्रीम कोर्ट तक जा रहे हो बेल लेने के लिए, ऐसे थोड़ी होता है. फ्रीडम ऑफ स्पीच इज गारंटीड. और ये जितने भी लोग कहते हैं ना 19 रिस्ट्रिक्टेड फ्रीडम ऑफ स्पीच है, वो रिस्ट्रिक्शंस के कोर्ट ने बहुत क्लियरली डिफाइन किए किस केसेस में रिस्ट्रिक्टेड है. ऐसे कोई मिनिस्टर को बुरा लग गया तो उसने आप पे पुलिस छोड़ दिया, भीड़ छोड़ दी, ऐसे थोड़ी होता है. Freedom of speech must be completely guarded. Life and liberty is the most important aspect. अगर आप मुझे पूछो आप लाइफ और लिबर्टी, मैं क्या चूज करता हूँ? मैं लिबर्टी चूज करूँगा. जिंदगी से ऊपर आज़ाद रहूँगा, बनकर थोड़ी जीवित रहूँगा. लिबर्टी इज मोर इम्पॉर्टेंट देन लाइफ. कोई भी भीड़ आ गई, किसी को मारा, कहीं तोड़फोड़ कर दिया, कहीं पुलिस ने केस रजिस्टर कर दिया, आप कोर्ट में भाग रहे हो, पुलिस स्टेशन भाग रहे हो, ऐसे थोड़ी चलेगा. डराना बंद होना चाहिए. इट कैनॉट, इट्स अ वायलेशन ऑफ पीपल्स राइट्स.
I agree on that. And we have moved on from one comedian to another comedian, and the India's Got Latent controversy, of course. In my viewpoint, I think the way whole India's police has gathered to target one show, one controversy, one thing, the way they have done that with such aggression, such passion, such dedication, I think the same way if they would have done on other issues as well and not just some, I wouldn't say it's just minor, but yes, it doesn't allow for that much of power on it कि इतना लोग इकट्ठे हुए हैं उस पे.
It is minor.
Yeah.
I didn't like this show. I'd never seen India's Got Latent until again this controversy happened. मुझे पता भी नहीं था.
अच्छा.
हाँ, मुझे नहीं पता था. मैं ज़्यादा YouTube वगैरह देखता नहीं. मैं अपना मेडिटेशन, अपनी लाइफ उसी में मैं स्पेंड करता हूँ. बट आई ओनली केम टू नो अबाउट दिस शो लेटर ऑन, जब ये कंट्रोवर्सी हुआ. बट ये एक अडल्ट शो था, अडल्ट्स के लिए था, टिकटेड शो था.
Yeah.
और एक सब्सक्राइब शो था.
Exactly.
हाउ कैन पीपल गेट अफेंडेड? जो देखना चाहते हो उन्होंने चूज़ क्या देखना. आप नहीं देखना चाहते हो, मत देखो. और जिस दिन पुलिस रणवीर और समय रैना के पीछे गई, उस दिन छत्तीसगढ़ हाई कोर्ट में एक पति को छोड़ा गया. उसने अपनी वाइफ का, डोंट ब्लर दिस, उसने अपनी वाइफ का रेप किया था एनल सेक्स करते. शी ब्लेड टू डेथ ऑन एनल सेक्स. और छत्तीसगढ़ कोर्ट ने उसे छोड़ा, कहा नहीं आप पति हो, आपका रेप करना अधिकार है. और उस पर लोग नाराज़ नहीं हुए. उसी दिन इस पर नाराज़ हुए कि वो फिक्शनल जोक्स मार रहा था, वो भी कॉपीड जोक्स. रणवीर के जोक्स तो कॉपीड थे, उस पर लोग नाराज़ हुए.
I think वो केस हाईलाइट ही नहीं हुआ.
I'm telling you this as a fact. On the very same day, a man was left by the court for raping his wife in the anal region, and she bled to death.
Oh my God.
What should we be offended about? किस बात की morality? एक घटिया सा कमेडियन मेरे साथ टीवी पे आता है, घटिया सा कमेडियन, और कहता है रणवीर को फांसी की सज़ा मिलनी चाहिए. और जब मैंने कहा कि अब थोड़ा एग्जैजरेट कर रहे हो, ये नहीं होना चाहिए, तो कहता है रणवीर देशद्रोही है वगैरह वगैरह. कहता है मुझे मज़ा आता है अपने पेरेंट्स को यौन संबंध सेक्स करते हुए देखना. मेरे तो एक तो डैड है ही नहीं. बट आप उस टीवी शो पर आए हो टू स्पीक अबाउट मोरालिटी. रणवीर ने तो जो किया वो एक अडल्ट शो में, सब्सक्राइब शो में किया ना, टिकटेड बाय कंसेंस. आप तो नेशनल टीवी पे ये बात कह रहे हो. आप में क्या फ़र्क है? और आप मोरालिटी प्रीच कर रहे हो. प्लीज़, ये सारे ना हिपोक्रिट्स हैं. इंडिया इज द थर्ड लार्जेस्ट कंज्यूमर ऑफ पॉर्न और द फोर्थ लार्जेस्ट कंज्यूमर ऑफ पॉर्न इन द वर्ल्ड. तब कहाँ जाते हैं आपके वैल्यूज़? इंडिया इज अमंग्स द टॉप 3 लार्जेस्ट कंज्यूमर ऑफ जापानीज पॉर्न. कितने भारतीयों को जापानीज समझ में आते हैं? तब कहाँ जाते हैं आपके वैल्यूज़? Please, I am not going to take lecture from these fake people who come on TV just to give gyan and prove to be sanskari. None of them are. Adults have a right to do what they want. Once you are 18 and you're an adult, the government has no business to be in your business. I will not accept mobs. I will not be cowed down by mobs. I will not let mobs rule my life or people I stand up for. I don't like Kunal Kamra, his brand of comedy, but I will stand up for his rights. I don't like Nupur Sharma, what she said, but I will stand up for her rights. Because the mob will not dictate to me what people will see or not see. नुपुर ने जो गलत बोला उस कोर्ट तय करेगा. मॉब्स आकर सर तन से जुदा नहीं चिल्लाएंगे. कहाँ क्यों चिल्लाएंगे? और कहाँ तक आप where does this line get drawn? What is moral and what is immoral? Whose right of morality? आपकी और मेरी morality अलग अलग हो सकती है. मॉब तय करेंगे. Today you are a young, good-looking girl. Your mother is here in the background. You're dressed well. Tomorrow somebody may think that you showing your legs is immoral. आज से 100 साल पहले showing your legs is immoral. मॉब तय करेगा आप क्या पहने, खुशी क्या पहनेगी, क्यों तय करेगा. आज से 100 साल पहले ये जो आपने ड्रेस पहना वो इमोरल था. करेक्ट. आज से 25 साल पहले की अगर हम बात करें तो गे होना इलीगल था. ये इमोरल था, वो इलीगल था. मॉब तय करेगा.
I think the line is where when they take justice in their own hands.
Violence is the, as long sar tan se juda is illegal. It's not freedom of speech because that's violence. What you wear, what you do, what you eat, who you love, where you go is your right. मॉब वो तय थोड़ी करेगा. आज से 30 साल पहले चोली के पीछे जो गाना था वो टीवी पे नहीं आया बिकॉज वो इमोरल था. आज हर शादी में परिवार उस पर डांस करते. आज से 20 साल पहले सेक्सी 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 करिश्मा कपूर का जो सॉन्ग था, मुझे लोग बोले उसके लिरिक्स चेंज करने पड़े. आज सेक्सी इज अ कॉम्प्लीमेंट्री वर्ड. फैमिलीज में एक दूसरे को, दोस्त एक दूसरे को कहते.
The same thing goes for Honey Singh songs.
तो व्हाट इज इमोरल? ये इमोरल कौन तय करेगा? मैं फिर से कह रहा हूँ, आई डोंट लाइक व्हाट कुणाल डिड. आई डिडंट लाइक व्हाट रणवीर सेड. रणवीर का तो जो कॉपी था. बट आप वायलेंस करोगे, आप मोरालिटी प्रीच करोगे, तो मोरालिटी की लाइन कहाँ पर आती है?
The freedom of speech gives you the freedom to speak up and say that you don't like this, the way people comment on videos. But when they take justice in their own hands and they think हम ठेकेदार बनेंगे इस सोसाइटी के, and वो जाके कि हमें अपनी सोसाइटी को बचाना है, and then they take action, that's when they cross the line, and that's when I think we are downgrading our human values and downgrading human rights.
And democratic values.
Democratic values.
Absolutely.
You have met Ranveer Alabadia, right?
I'm doing a podcast again with him.
So I want to know what kind of person he is, because you have met him, you have done podcasts with him before as well.
I love him. Unlike Kunal, who also I know personally, and I spoke to him recently, I really am fond of Ranveer. I'm very fond of Ranveer.
So do you think he doesn't have a filter on his mouth?
नहीं, ऐसा नहीं है. उसने जो, यार देखो, कभी कभी गलत निकल जाता है. उसने उसको जोक मारना था, मुझे नहीं पता उसकी क्या साइकोलॉजी थी उस वक्त. ही क्रैक्ड अ जोक, इट डिडंट गो वेल. ठीक है, बट यार उसको मारोगे थोड़ी इसके लिए.
अग्रीड.
इट वाज अ बैड जोक. बैड जोक की सज़ा पुलिस केस तो नहीं हो सकता ना. बैड जोक की सज़ा हैरेसमेंट तो नहीं हो सकता ना. वायलेंस तो नहीं हो सकता ना. कुणाल कामरा शो वाज पैथेटिक. I really thought it was pathetic. When I saw that 45 minutes, मैं सोच रहा था इसमें controversy. But it can't be violence. It can't be कि हम उसको मारेंगे. ठीक उसी तरह जो नुपुर ने कहा, शायद मैं उससे अग्री नहीं करता हूँ, इत्तेफाक नहीं रखता हूँ, बट वायलेंस तो नहीं हो सकता. आप उसकी लाइफ को थ्रेटन तो नहीं कर सकते. It's not done. ये नहीं होता है. जो गलत है वो गलत है, और उस गलत को कहना चाहिए. एंड यू हैव टू स्टैंड अप फॉर पीपल. आई स्टैंड अप फॉर एवरीबॉडी. मैं फ्रीडम ऑफ स्पीच के लिए खड़ा रहता हूँ, चाहे किसी भी साइड के हो, क्योंकि वो दैट शुड नॉट बी कॉम्प्रोमाइज्ड.
योर आइडियोलॉजी इज इंडिया फर्स्ट.
माय आइडियोलॉजी इज इंडिया फर्स्ट. एंड आई विल स्टैंड अप फॉर एवरीवनस राइट्स, चाहे वो किसी भी साइड के हो, चाहे मैं उनसे अग्री भी नहीं करता हूँ. आई विल स्टैंड अप फॉर देम.
इफ वी मूव फ्रॉम हियर टू an angle that I personally like to talk with my guest, so I want to understand how you deal with things, how you manage being on camera, how you manage so much criticism, so much debate, so much aggression, so many fights. You just told me an incident, what happened, the person who said this to you, a comedian, someone. So I want to know, how do you deal with all of this aggression and so much negativity?
My meditation shields me.
You meditate?
Yeah, 4 a.m.
4 a.m.
every day. 3:50 my alarm rings, 4 to whatever time I meditate, 5, 5:30. फिर मैं वापस सो जाता हूँ, फिर 7, सवा 7, 6:30, 7 बजे उठ जाता हूँ. But 4 to 5, 5:30 I meditate, and while meditating I fall asleep. So I do different sadhanas.
Okay.
Tantra, mostly I do tantra sadhana. उसमें भी there are various sadhanas, there's Brahma sadhana, etc. So 10 Mahavidya Tantra. So I do my Tantra sadhana. But long story short, I do a lot of meditation that protects and shields me. इसके अलावा for my life, I require very little in life. Like मैं दिन में एक ही बार खाता हूँ.
Really?
Yeah.
That's shocking.
It's true.
How do you survive that?
Like this. I'm reverse aging. I am reverse aging. My parameters biologically are that of a 28, 29-year-old.
You do look young.
It's that of a 20, 29.
And when I saw your previous photos as well, you look younger and much more glowing, I think.
So it's 1 meal a day, workout every day, and meditation. Everything in life is quantum. We live in a quantum world. And you can get what you want. So I'm reverse aging. My parameters today are that of a 28, 29-year-old.
Do you work out as well?
Yeah, I've got a gym everywhere.
Acha.
Wherever I go, I work out. So sometimes, even if it's late night, like I finish at my last show at 10 to 11, I shoot. 11 it gets over. I'll come home and I'll work out. 12, 12:30 and then go to sleep. Work out daily, especially legs. Legs is the key to being young and fit. So I do my legs every day. Delhi boys love doing biceps and don't do legs. Delhi boys are big body, small legs. No, legs should be your strong point.
I think we never knew this side of Tehseen Poonawalla.
Yeah.
I think this is the first podcast where getting to know you.
So I'm telling you, the key to living long, healthy and reverse aging is to meditation, eat less, work out on your legs. Life will be good. In the last 7, 8 years, I haven't gone to a doctor. I haven't even taken a paracetamol. I've taken a paracetamol twice in the last 5, 6 years. Once when I took the first COVID shot. Second one ke saath I didn't take also. And once otherwise. I've not even taken a paracetamol. I've taken no medicine. No specs. Hearing is perfect. Heart is perfect. I have the fitness of a 28, 29-year-old. And by the time, in the next 5 years, I will reverse age to about 26, 27, my fitness.
I am literally shook right now.
Yeah. What is aging? Aging is basically, in short, your cells expire and multiple cells are being created in our body every day. So, if you keep creating more cells, then you're fine. Because if your cell died, then aging happens and a new cell is not produced. But if you create unlimited multiple cells, that's cancer, correct?
Correct.
So what is it? So how do you then stop the process of aging? To stop the process of aging, you got to elongate your cell life. And how do you elongate your cell life? By giving yourself and your cells a little bit of stress. So I take a cold water shower.
Okay.
1 meal a day. I go hungry. Meditation. Wake up early. Push. Exercise. The moment your cell feels it's under stress, it elongates its life. That's in short. There's of course a lot more science to it. I'm not getting into it.
Okay.
I'm telling you the science I follow. And look, ultimately, if you see in the past, you see our rishis, you see them, they used to eat 1 meal a day before sunset.
Yeah. But at this time, I think हमारा lifestyle ही ऐसा नहीं है that we are able to
I can
survive on
मैं
that.
sugar भी I don't take sugar. I don't smoke. I don't drink. I don't do drugs. I don't do sugar. Nothing.
I'm really curious to know. You are at a stage of your life when you're so positive. You have like मोह माया से आप दूर हो चुके हैं.
नहीं मैं मोह माया से दूर नहीं हुआ. मैं कृष्णा मेरे आदर्श है. मैं मोह माया के बीच में रहकर डिटैच रहता हूँ. देखिए, with no offense to anybody, सब कुछ छोड़कर विजडम पाना तो कोई भी कर सकते हैं. कृष्णा जी जो थे, वो दुनिया के बीच में रहकर उन्होंने वो विजडम देते थे. मतलब वो बैटलफील्ड के बीच में थे ना, कुरुक्षेत्र के. ओशो कहते हैं कृष्णा वहां से शुरू होते जहां सब खत्म हो जाता है. दुनिया में सब कुछ खत्म हो गया, वहां से कृष्णा शुरू होता है. मतलब वो इस दुनिया के बीच में रहकर डिटैच थे. दैट इज कृष्णा. कृष्णा से बेटर व्यक्ति इस दुनिया में कोई नहीं चला है. बहुत सारे महान लोग आए इस दुनिया में, बहुत महान लोग आए, हम सबका सम्मान सबका आदर करते हैं, लेकिन कहीं ना कहीं उन सब ने कुछ न कुछ छोड़ा है. कृष्णा सबके बीच में रहकर परफेक्ट ह्यूमन बीइंग से भी ज़्यादा परफेक्ट है, और उन्होंने सब गीता उन्होंने हमें दिया. यहाँ पर रहकर सबकी वॉर के बीच में रहकर कृष्णा वो है जो उनको, वो पैदा होने से पहले उनके मरने की प्लानिंग शुरू हो गई थी. जेल में पैदा होते माँ से बिछड़ गए. दैट पर्सन, इफ यू डोंट लुक एट हिम एज गॉड, एज अ पर्सन, एज अ ह्यूमन, क्योंकि उन्होंने एक इंसान का रूप लेकर वो आए, वो उस लड़के ने, उस इंसान ने क्या नहीं सहा, और वो सबके बीच में ही वॉज कृष्णा. मतलब जंग के लिए, वर्ल्ड वॉर के लिए लोग तैयार है, पांडव कौरव और गीता का ज्ञान दे रहे. दैट इज कृष्णा इन द मिडल ऑफ द वर्ल्ड. मैं कोई मोह माया नहीं त्याग. आई एम डिटैच्ड, but I have not left anything. I live in luxury. I absolutely live in luxury. क्यों luxury में ना रहूं? But I am not attached. I'll give a very basic example. I like to fly a certain way.
Okay.
I love to fly a certain way. So there are certain things my office does when I fly, or if I'm going for a show or somebody calls me, there are certain protocols they have to follow. I like to travel in a certain car. But my life is not dependent upon it. अगर कल किसी कारण वो नहीं हुआ, मुझे अर्जेंटली कहीं जाना है तो जाना है. आई विल फ्लाई हाउ आई वांट. मैं बस में चला जाऊंगा. मुझे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता है. मैं बहुत क्लियर हूँ, मुझे डेस्टिनेशन ए से बी जाना है. हाँ, बिकॉज आई एम गोइंग फ्रॉम डेस्टिनेशन ए टू बी, आई लाइक टू गो इन अ सर्टन वे. So there will be a certain car to receive me at the airport. I will fly in a certain way. There is a certain protocol. My office and whoever is inviting me follow. But for some reason it can't happen. I have to go in an emergency. क्या मैं इसलिए दुखी होगा कि मेरे पास वो प्रोटोकॉल नहीं है? मुझे भाई जाना ए से बी में जाऊंगा, मैं बस में चला जाऊंगा, मुझे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. मेरा जर्नी भी है.
सर्कमस्टांसेस में ढल जाना.
आई एम ओके लिविंग द वे आई वांट, बट इफ इट्स नॉट अवेलेबल, माय गोल इज टू गो टू पॉइंट बी, आई विल गो टू पॉइंट बी. मुझे इस चीज में कोई ईगो नहीं है. मुझे कोई ईगो नहीं कि आप ही मुझे फोन करो. मुझे कोई दिक्कत है, मैं फोन उठाकर आपको फोन कर दूंगा.
ओके.
आई डोंट वेस्ट माय टाइम इन ईगो. मैं उसमें अपना समय व्यर्थ नहीं करता हूँ. मेरा काम ये है, मैं वो काम करूँगा. सो आई गेट डिटैच्ड, बट आई लिव इन द मिडस्ट ऑफ एवरीथिंग दैट इज वर्ल्डली.
योर आइडल इज कृष्ण भगवान
एंड शिवा.
And Shiva, how?
Shiva is the hermit god who becomes a householder. And what a god. My Shiva is everything to me. मेरा शिवा से बहुत क्लोज रिलेशनशिप है. मैं उनकी बहुत साधना करता हूँ.
अच्छा.
खास करते भैरवा की.
Why so?
Because it is science. हम समझते नहीं हैं. देखिए, ultimately, when we look back at all our scriptures, and today we look back at how the universe was formed, or the beginning, we now know that the universe was formed when the Big Bang happened. We now know that the Big Bang happened 13.8 billion years ago. We now can see the Big Bang live because it's taken us about 13.5 billion years for that light to reach us. And we now, through the James Webb telescope, can look back 13.5 billion years ago, and we're seeing the light that basically formed 13.5 billion years ago. So all of that we're seeing now, live, right? The Big Bang. And what did we see? The question is, how did the Big Bang happen for this universe to be created? And if you go back to our scriptures, forget our scriptures, you go to the Center for Energy Research, Nuclear Research in Switzerland, in Europe. It says the universe created with the dance of Shiva. What is Shiva's dance? It's the Big Bang. What does Shiva do when he dances, when he does the Tandav? There's a Big Bang. And what is there? So the question then was, what was there before the Big Bang?
Yeah.
And then scientists always said nothing. Scientists now say nothing is actually something. This is exactly what our Vedas say. That the Vedas start from, did God create the universe or did the universe create God? And did God come from nothingness or did nothingness come from God? Our Vedas start with that. Today science accepts that yes, nothing is something. And actually, now science knows that before the Big Bang was something called inflation.
What's that?
It is how the Big Bang started, what caused the Big Bang. So there was an expansion and inflation that led to the causing of the Big Bang.
Okay.
And what we now know was the world at one point was like a hot bowl of jelly or maple syrup that ultimately led to the expansion and the universe was created. And now we have multiple universes. That's the theory. All of this is written in our books. From nothing came something. But that nothing was also something for it to come. And today science says this. From no nothingness, because Shiva always existed. Even when nothing existed, Shiva existed. Even when nothing existed, Shiva existed. Therefore, from nothing came something. Nothing is something. Today, science uses these very same words. And it's all there in our books. Today, science says they are multi-universe. It's there in our books. Today, science accepts the universe is nothing but strings of music. All our gods and goddesses have a musical instrument. We don't study our culture. That's the problem with us. Today, science says the universe is nothing but a bunch of strings which are musical notes and numerical. This is all there in our books. If only we study it. The multi-universes, the multiple universes, that's there. It's all written here.
I think some of our knowledge was destroyed when Nalanda University was destroyed.
I think a lot of that knowledge is still there, but we don't just study all of it. In fact, the multiverse theory, or what is the observer effect, is all there in our books.
Okay.
For example, there is a theory called the Schrodinger's cat.
Yeah.
The cat is in a box. The cat is either dead or alive until the observer, which is Khushi, sees whether the cat is dead or alive, and therefore one wave function collapses and only there is one wave function. So, till the cat is in the box, the cat is both dead and alive at the same time, until the observer, Khushi, sees the cat and sees it's dead or it's alive, and therefore one wave function collapses. So, the dead wave function collapses and the cat is alive. The wave function is 1, the cat is alive. Until you don't observe it, the cat is both dead and alive at the same time.
Both possibilities are there then.
It's both dead and alive at the same time. That's the basis of quantum theory.
Okay.
Correct? That's our universe. The universe basically says observe. What does our Hindu mythology teach us? It's the observer. What have we learned? The same person can be different things to different people. So all the possibilities are possible until all other wave functions collapse and one possibility happens. Everything is possible. Now the West is selling this to us as the secret manifestation. It's all there. What does Krishna tell Arjun in the Gita, the basis of which? He says, look, you just do your duty. You will win. You just have to sit here, observe, do your duty. You will win.
So the possibility that you want will happen.
100% will happen. And that is manifestation. He says, what you want shall happen. Ultimately, what you want will happen. It's already there.
Wow.
That's the basis.
I think there's a variable of perspective in it.
There is a variable of perspective. Let me put it that way. You, Khushi, as a girl, can be a girlfriend to somebody, can be a daughter to somebody, can be a wife to somebody, can be a mother to somebody, can be food to a lion. Khushi can be everything. Yet, can be a host to me, can be a friend to your cameraman. She can be everything. Multiple Khushis are possible until the other wave functions collapse. So to me, you will be a host. To your mother, you will be a daughter. You can't be a husband to your mother.
Yeah.
To your husband, you will be a wife. To your brother, you will be a sister. To a lion, you will be food or prey. The others will collapse. To a lion, you can't be a mother.
Yeah.
So those will collapse. So there is no one truth. And that's what Hinduism teaches us. There are multiple truths.
Okay.
See, think about it. Let me again give you another example. Let me give you from the Mahabharata. Both Arjuna and Duryodhana go to take Krishna's help. Duryodhana actually comes first. Arjuna came second.
Exactly.
But Duryodhana sitting next to Krishna ji's head. So Krishna ji, when he wakes up, he sees Arjuna sitting near the feet. Now, Duryodhan could have sat near the feet, but he
But
chose
he
to sit.
didn't.
Arjun could have sat near the head, but he didn't. Duryodhan came first, so he could have asked, but Krishna gave Arjun the first choice.
Because he saw him first.
And Arjun asked for Krishna, thereby giving Duryodhan what he wanted, that was the army. But imagine, there could be multiple possibilities. And yet, the one that happened was the one that had to happen. So look, even in our way of life, there is no one truth, there are multiple truths. Therefore, very often when we read our own books, it's not good or bad. It is multiple possibilities and karma and the effects of karma. So your karma should be proper. Don't go into what is good or bad, right or wrong. What may be wrong for somebody, killing you could be wrong for me. For that, lie in your parade. The laws of the laws are not the same. Treating you as a friend could be different for me versus your mom who treats you as a daughter / a friend. She may treat you as a friend, but also as a daughter. The laws are different. So there is no one way of being. That's what our Hindu religion and our way of life teaches us. There are multiple truths, which ultimately leads to the one getting back into the universe.
Okay.
Now, again, that is very interesting. What does Hinduism teach us? It all says that ultimately we are all part of the same universe.
Yeah.
Today, what does science say? What does quantum say? Quantum says we are all part of the entire universe is one wave function. When did our books teach us this?
Thousands of years ago.
Today, in our books, we are literally, whether it's our Ramayana, Mahabharata, we've got the planetary, we've got people who descended from the sun. There's been the people who've descended from the sun, taken over the kingdom, the earth. What is the sun? It's a star.
Yeah.
All of us are created from stars. All of us. At some point when the universe was created, when the Big Bang happened, the periodic table, the elements were created. At some point, hydrogen, which is the most important element in our creation, which led to the creation of the universe the way it is today. At some point, that hydrogen became sentient, and we were all created. The universe was created, the stars were created. We have the same elements that are in the universe. We
At the
actually
core,
created
we are same.
We have created from the stars.
Okay.
Surya Kul.
हाँ.
हमारी किताबों में लिखा हुआ है. We've just not studied it.
So it might be that our gods are also stars?
No, I'm just saying that today, when they say that human beings have come down from the elements of the stars, and our book said that, we laughed at it. How can somebody come from the stars? We have the exact same elements that the stars have. Today we know that time is not constant. Einstein taught it to us. E is equal to mc square. Einstein's theory of relativity, special relativity, general relativity teaches us time is not a constant. Time goes differently for different people. Today we know that. Today we know that if I go at the speed of light, I will go while I would have gone at one distance, I would age much slower than what you would age. By the time I come back, let's say I go to the nearest galaxy, Andromeda, at the speed of light and come back. For me, it will be a few hours. But by the time I come back to Earth, it will be millions of years.
Yes.
We now know that. That's Einstein's theory of relativity.
I think
we talk about everything coming down to a singularity. That is Stephen Hawking's theory in the black holes, that everything ultimately is a singularity. We are not studying our own books. All of this is there. Quantum comes from Indian studies.
I think our cultures have taught us science, but we have not been able to perceive it that way. And Tehseen Poonawalla just taught me multiverse.
Yeah.
And I think what I was able to gather from all of this is that there are multiverses, and the action that we do today, even if I'm picking up this pen, it is leading to consequences and one possibility that will happen.
Multiple possibilities are happening in different universes.
Yeah.
In one universe, you're picking up the pen. One universe, you're not picking up the pen.
Yeah.
One universe, you're throwing the pen. Everything happens until in the universe where we are sentient, we are conscious, the others collapse, and then this happens. But multiple possibilities are present.
And then butterfly effect happens.
Absolutely happens. And that's the universe. It's a wave. That's the wave. It's all connected. At some point, we are all connected. And the whole universe is one. And that's what we've learned.
You have such a great perspective on things, and I didn't know that we could relate so much with our Hindu scriptures and the cultures that have taught us and the science behind it. And even I would say कि मैं बचपन से my mom has taught me the same things कि हमारे हिंदू कल्चर में ही वो साइंस है जो हम आज पढ़ रहे हैं, जो इवन जैसे कहते हैं कि रावण का उड़ने वाला वो जो था वाहन पुष्पवाहन, तो वो भी साइंस थी वहाँ पे. जो हाथ में उनके तीर आ रहा है, वो ऐसे कुछ मंत्र बोल रहे हैं, हाथ में तीर आ रहा है, दैट्स ऑल्सो साइंस. वो मैटर बन रहा है.
करेक्ट.
एवरीथिंग दैट हम जो महाभारत रामायण और ऐसी स्टोरीज पढ़ी, इट्स नॉट जस्ट स्टोरीज, देयर इज साइंस बिहाइंड इट, बट वी हैव नॉट स्टडीड इट.
Correct. It's not just matter, there's antimatter. It's not just energy, there is anti-energy, dark energy. Now, dark energy, people say, oh, black, magic, voodoo. No. 95% of the universe is dark energy. There's spaces in between, which at some point, dark energy, at some point, we now know has a negative charge, but is also you can also measure it. All of this is in our books before, which is why whenever you look at Indian scriptures, the world was always shown round. How? When people believed that the world was flat.
Yeah.
Think about this. When we see the various avatars of Vishnu and we see that the world is on the bore, on the nose, it's around.
It's around.
How did we know that? How did we know where the stars are? How did we know where the planets are? How did we know planetary movement? You couldn't know that without knowing that the world was round.
We even knew the distance of sun from the earth.
It's there in our mantras.
Yeah.
That is our science.
We just
exact
need to
distance.
look deeper, I think.
Just look deeper. The exact calculations are there.
Yeah. I'm very enlightened right now.
No, and again, all of this, what is quantum? Quantum is, ultimately, we live in a quantum universe. The universe is quantum at nature. It's not Newtonian, it's quantum. And today, we understand that not only is there gravity, there's anti-gravity. This is again in our books, that there is something called anti-gravity, which actually keeps us stable. So we now know keeps the universe stable. Now all of this is in our books. There is the examples of gravity, there's the examples of anti-gravity. Newton's example of gravity was of course expanded by Einstein later on.
Yeah.
And then we came that, okay, that there is something called anti-gravity. Now we know that all of this happens. We now know that in our books we spoke about it. That's why we know that for every pull there's a push effect. Therefore we know how the universe functioned. All our people read about it, wrote about it. We just don't put it in perspective.
Yeah.
Or read about it and speak about it.
The way that the last 10 minutes that I was able to, wow, there's a lot of things, and I think all of them feel very real. It's not like it's just two people talking, जैसे कहते हैं कि mic दे दिया दो लोगों को.
No.
It's real. And I feel very educated right now about all of the things that are very relevant. And if we move from this to you again, so I had one question in my mind. You are at the stage where you are very positive, you are very matured, you have found a lot of things in life that are helping you grow as a person, and you are educated. So was there a time in your life when you were very low, when you gave up, you were at your lowest, you couldn't find anything, the room was closing in on you, something like that happened in your life?
Yeah, there are times I was low when my father passed away, but I never gave up. I'm a fighter. You can beat me, you can put me down, but you can't fucking defeat me. I am unfucking defeatable. I will keep fucking rising. You cannot defeat. You can beat the hell out of me. That's fine. You can thrash me, but I can't fucking be defeated. You can't defeat me. I will come back and I will fight. I will come back and I will fight. I'll tell you a story. I do MMA. I haven't practiced now for a year and a half.
Okay.
But I should do MMA. And I realized this that day that my coach, my MMA coach, his cousin was a professional boxer and then became an MMA fighter, professional fighter. Much younger than me, taller, stronger. And we got into the ring and we decided to have a bout. Now, I am a very good in MMA. I'm very good in grappling and wrestling. I'm not. My strongest point was not my boxing. He was a professional boxer before he moved to MMA or mixed martial arts. So my strategy was that I wanted to get him onto the floor and wrestle him or grapple with him so that I could win. But because not only was he a professional fighter, but also a professional boxer and taller than me, he engaged me more in boxing. And I tried everything. I just couldn't get him on the floor. I just couldn't get him down because he was a better fighter in that sense. Now I had two choices. Either be broken in that ring saying, look, none of my plans are working, or engage in a fight. He's boxing, I boxed. He boxed, I boxed. He boxed, I boxed. He boxed, I boxed. बहुत मार मिली. So it wasn't a match where there was a referee. We were obviously fighting. Ultimately, the round ended in a draw. If it was on points, he would have won. But neither did I give up, nor did he give up. We just kept punching each other. 2 days later, my face was like a football. But the point that I'm trying to make is, I didn't give up. Fought. That's okay. You can beat me. And I remember this one point in that fight, he gave me a damn good punch. And I remember I got a cut here and I was bleeding. It hit me. And once he hit me here, because this was the right side, he hit me here, the next punch, right? Because I was taken aback. And I actually, there were actually stars in my eyes. I could actually hear the bells ringing. Like, बहुत जोर से. And I was like, I am dead. But I looked at him in the eye and I smiled. Okay, bas, this is the best you have. And I could see in his eyes, he's like, this was my best punch and this guy survived it. I also gave him a few punches and he also smiled. When that match got over, I think 2 days later, my face was swollen. It takes time for your face to get swollen. I think 4 or 5 days later, we met for a protein shake. Like I said, I don't drink. Neither does he, I think. But we met for a protein shake where I do MMA. And he told me that. He said, and I remembered that. So imagine you're fighting, but time had stopped in that fight. He said, when I gave you the cut here and then I hit you here, I thought the fight was over. I could see that you got hurt. But you looked at me in the eye and you smiled. And he's like, boss, I realized I can't defeat you. On points, he would have beaten me, to be fair.
That's like a Bollywood scene.
I don't know, but I can't be defeated. You can't defeat me. You can hit me. Actually, bells rang in my... But I was बहुत मारा मुझे. But I will not lose. हारूंगा नहीं मैं. I will get up and keep fighting. I'm unfucking beatable. No one can defeat me.
I think
possible.
That's what makes you a much great debate person.
I debate because I love it. I debate because I think we have to have an opposition in the country. We must challenge the government. मूर्ख सरकार है. अब केस होगा मुझ पे. कोई ना कोई अब अफेंड होगा. फिर तोड़फोड़ करेंगे. इस स्टूडियो पे मत करो. ये स्टूडियो का ना मैं मालिक हूँ ना खुशी है. प्लीज डोंट ब्रेक द स्टूडियो.
स्टूडियो हम रिवील ही नहीं कर रहे.
मूर्ख सरकार है. But point is that you have to stand up to them. Some things they do good. Most things they do wrong. कल टैक्सी सर्विस चालू की. गवर्नमेंट का काम टैक्सी चलाना. सोचो. Government of India taxi service चालू कर रही है. Government should run taxis and monopolies. They came with minimum. They came promising maximum governance, minimum government. They're doing maximum government, minimum governance. I think run Manipur better. So somebody has to take this government on.
You just said that you want the opposition to be strong. That's why you debate, right? That brings me to a thought that the government is democratically elected. So for the democracy to run in a smoother way, you need to have a good opposition as well. And right now then the BJP is ruling and we have an opposition. Do you think our opposition is very weak?
Yeah. They don't raise the right issues.
How so?
क्या ज़रूरत थी राणा सांगा जी की बात करने में पार्लियामेंट में? क्या ज़रूरत थी औरंगजेब की बात करने में महाराष्ट्र में? क्या ज़रूरत थी ऐसे मौलानाओं को मिलने की जो मैं दोबारा से कहता हूँ बड़े भाई का कुर्ता छोटे भाई का पजामा पहनते तालिबान की तारीफ करते? क्या ज़रूरत है ऐसे लोगों को मिलने की? क्या इन मुद्दों को क्यों निकाल रहे हो? इससे क्या फ़र्क पड़ता है? बांग्लादेश में हिंदुओं का कत्लेआम कर रहा है, उस पर लड़ो ना. मणिपुर जल रहा है, उस पर लड़ो ना. सीरिया में व्हाट इज़ इंडियाज़ प्लान भी, उस पर लड़ो. Israel में Indian soldiers have died, उस पे लड़ो. Whereas they've just put more sanctions. India will get difficult to get Russian oil. उस पे लड़ो. How are we paying Russia for the oil? उस पे लड़ो. Some amount we've paid in Chinese currency. We've paid in an enemy nation's or a hostile nation's currency to Russia. उस पे लड़ो. We don't have, if today, God forbid, you were to fall unwell, you will not go to a government hospital, you'll have to go to a private hospital.
I wouldn't.
उस पे लड़ो. What are we fighting on? औरंगजेब, बाबर, ये कोई मुद्दे लड़ने की? Opposition में कोई भी मुद्दा उठाता है. These are not issues. We have to teach AI to our children. We have to teach English to our children. We have to teach quantum computers to our children. You know, quantum computers is going to change the world. India is not making a quantum computer. In the next 10 years, quantum computers will be an absolute reality.
Okay.
And that's already happened. IBM's quantum computer, Microsoft's quantum computer, the other Google's quantum computers. The qubits are increasing day by day. Quantum computers do very complex calculations in a matter of a few seconds. Where is India building one? Your supercomputers will be obsolete. What a supercomputer takes hundreds of years to calculate, hundreds or thousands. A quantum computer does that calculation in a few seconds. Your supercomputers will be obsolete. Your space program will collapse. What are we talking about?
I think Indians are very capable of making the quantum computer, but they are going to the foreign nations
because
to do
we have no policy. उस पे लड़ो. Blockchain पे, what is the government's policy? Crypto पे, what is the policy? Government wants to snoop on your emails, wants to snoop on your WhatsApp. Nirmala ji wants to see who's Khushi messaging. You can troll me for this, I don't care. Don't break the studio. But point is this, इस पे लड़ो ना कि government has actually made a law that they have the right to snoop into your emails and your WhatsApps and your... What is the government's policy on cryptocurrency? Zero. They have no policy. You have to pay tax on it, but it is illegal. Illegal है तो tax क्यों ले रहे? Tax है तो illegal कैसे?
Yeah, it doesn't make
और
sense.
दोनों के अंदर what is the policy? There is no policy. Nirmala ji just wants money should come. But jokes apart. Is this fight on that? Na? Cryptocurrency is the future. With quantum computers, your crypto is going to become the future. What are you doing? How are we going to have our space program? With AI robotics, we should be training our next generation to have jobs in that. Instead of doing that, what are we doing? The opposition should corner the government. That's why the opposition needs me. These are the things that I have to do now for the country. Opposition is not bothered. Opposition is only on silly issues it's raising. Raise these issues. Government has no idea. Government is clueless on blockchain, on quantum, on AI. Prime Minister spoke well on AI in Paris.
Did.
Very well.
He did.
Very well. So Prime Minister, at least the Prime Minister is doing something. Rest of them talk clueless. But, yeah. Did you see the Prime Minister's speech in Paris?
Not completely. I did see the reel on the highlights.
Very well he spoke. See, Prime Minister understands these things. I think he understands blockchain also. अब बेचारे वो अकेले कितना करेंगे? थोड़ा अगर हम उनको push करें तो और करेंगे. So these are the issues we should raise and do. No? We should have these simplified policies.
कुर्सियां तोड़ने की जगह.
और सरकार tax terrorism कर रही है. Extortion हो रहा है GST का. So this should stop. Tax rates should become simple. इस पे लड़ो. Tax rates simple करो. Simplify करो tax rates. सरकार चाहती है कि कौन who is living in with whom उसका registration हो DM के पास. अरे एक लड़का लड़की प्यार कर रहा है, दो लड़का प्यार कर रहे, दो लड़की प्यार कर रहे, सरकार को उसका registration DM के पास क्यों करवाना है? क्या बकवास है ये?
So I think the opposition is weak in India, and that's why the ruling government is very comfortable.
The ruling government has no ideas on the future, but because the opposition does not raise relevant issues, the government gets away by doing nonsense. Like I just said yesterday, they announced they are starting a taxi service. Like, is this a government's job to run taxis? Why would the government run taxis? Government's job is to have private entrepreneurs come in, not run taxis. It's the sad state. So they require me to make clear up all this mess. अब ये 11 साल का mess मुझे clear करना पड़ेगा.
You just talked about a lot of policies and the issues that the government should focus on. That brings me to another thing that we should also focus on is mental health. Yeah. Being a psychologist
You're
myself.
A psychologist.
Yeah. So I understand the importance of mental health. I understand how India needs to change, how India's perspective needs to change when it comes to mental health, and the policies that we need. Ur- बहुत urgent need है हमें mental health policies की to provide mental health support even urban and rural both
Yeah.
areas, because पहले तो rural को educate करना ही बहुत ज़रूरी है अभी इस चीज़ पे, and we are very much behind जब हम mental health की बात करते हैं. तो why very few people have talked about this then?
Because even our policymakers are behind. Let me give you a scientific answer because you're a psychologist and you've studied the brain and the mind. The human evolution's more or less to this degree sped up in the last 500-600 years. You will agree on that.
Yeah.
आप उस पे agree करोगे. Especially our prefrontal cortex
Yeah.
has led to us our evolution and us going further ahead, relationships deepening, scientific discoveries happening.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about it, 150 years ago, you didn't have a hot water shower, which we take for granted
Yeah.
today. 150 years ago, right? So the human brain itself, in the last 300 to 400 years, has seen a significant increase in capacity. The human brain has been used more. We've seen it even slightly increased in size.
Yeah.
And we've seen the prefrontal cortex become what distinguishes us from other species on Earth and help us evolve to a degree where we've become so evolved today where we are looking at perhaps moving to another planet like Mars. All of this is the function of the brain. So the brain, in a simple way, what we used to be fed wrong was a computer. The brain's not a computer. The brain is a very complex quantum system entity, a quantum system entity, which is not fully understood right now. But with the coming of a quantum computer, hopefully we'll be able to understand it. One, solve problems like Alzheimer's, dementia, etc. because of a quantum computer. But the brain is very quantum in its working, the whole neuroscience. Now, the brain is one part to it. We now know parts of the brain that are connected to the emotions,
Yes.
to different emotions,
Yes.
which, because of the way we can map the brain today, we know when somebody is depressed. We can even map somebody's dreams and see the reaction. That is today now a reality. That's how far we've come.
Evolved
or come. Should we now use this practice more to start focusing on better mental health for our people, using science, thereby taking young generation of Indians ahead in the world by actually starting something like brain mapping, seeing what they're going through, having these conversations publicly. But all of that will require freedom of speech because the brain can be very dark at times, can have very different thoughts.
Yeah.
And we'll have to be able to record this, understand this, to sort of get how young Indians are thinking.
Yeah.
Now I say, okay, but if individually what Khushi thinks, what Tehseen thinks, how does it matter? Because at a quantum level, we're all connected. We now know that the brain and the mind are separate. We now know that the mind is connected to a larger consciousness. Even various neurologists now talk about this. We now know that the universal consciousness is received via the mind. The brain interprets it. The brain has different emotions. It goes through it. And we have different functions on an individual micro level. Can we now start studying this and thereby helping the world on a macro level and on a micro level by mapping people, by being able to study what young people want? Can we create a more healthy society? That's the first at a scientific level. At an individual level, people go through different things. How do you create support groups? The way you create support groups is one, through infrastructure. So somebody is going through depression, somebody is going through a hard time, somebody is going through anger, rage. We now know different parts of the brains react. So you have that scientific study of it, so you understand and you start working on that aspect of it. But on a larger level, you also need psychological help for it, right? One is the science to it, so you see it. Can we have more counselors like you, psychologists like you, who now talk to people, understand the science behind it, and thereby help those people calm down or do better or get out of the situation they are in, thereby creating again a healthy society? Because what makes a healthy society? Apart from the physical, it's the mental that makes the society healthy. If the entire society today is angry, or the entire society today believes it has less resources, that will manifest in society's behavior. For example, if you see a crowded train in a local station in Mumbai, why is everybody rushing to go in? Because deep down the psychology is resources are less, seat nahi milegi.
Yeah.
Even though now there are enough trains and enough seats, 2 minute baad dusri local aayegi, but you're still rushing in because that is generational psychology that's handed down.
Yeah.
It's not just in India, it's across the world.
Agreed. Agreed.
That is generational
Agreed.
psychology.
Yeah.
Or you look at a plane. जैसे प्लेन लैंड होता सब खड़े हो जाते
खड़े हो
भाई आपको भी वही एयरपोर्ट पे आना है मुझे भी उसी पे उतरना है वही बस आपको भी लेनी है वही मुझे वही आपको वही टर्मिनल पे ले जाएगा आप पीछे वाई यू स्टैंडिंग अप एंड कमिंग बिकॉज lack of that's generational. We were a very poor country, lack of opportunities. That plays out as a generation. Because it's not one person or two persons. It's not Khushi doing it or Tehseen. It's a mass of people doing it. So that's generational.
So we have inherited it.
We've inherited it. And other countries also would have.
Yeah.
Japan would have its own generational trauma with regards to Hiroshima, Nagasaki. Other countries would have their own with regards to Europe and World War II. So everyone has their own generational trauma. People would have. The Jews have theirs because of what happened to them with Hitler. So there is generational trauma. Can we now work on that for youngsters? See, individually, somebody who can afford coming to a Khushi or to somebody else as a counselor or a psychologist can do that. I am more talking in policy form. Why do we as a policy, we don't work on mental health and see how we can make our nation more powerful? Because once we are a more relaxed and calm nation. Now let's look at the example. And I think people may relate to this. If you drive your car somewhere and you go to park your car, उधर parking ना हो एक प्राइवेट बिल्डिंग में वो वॉचमैन आपसे बहुत रूडली बात करेगा 99%. इधर मत लगाओ गाड़ी ये क्या ये जगह है वो आपसे प्रेम से भी बात कर सकता है क्योंकि वो 1 मिनट के लिए उसके पास पावर आ गया उस वॉचमैन के पास वो उसकी सारी जिंदगी वो फ्रस्ट्रेटेड है उसके पास गाड़ी नहीं है अब वो गाड़ी वाले को डांट सकता है वही चीज़ वो प्रेम से बोल सकता है मैम यहाँ पर गाड़ी प्लीज़ मत लगाए यहाँ पर दूसरी गाड़ी आप बट वो आपको गुस्से में बोलेगा. That is also generational anger, aspiration. So we as a land are very angry. We are still generationally suffering from.
I agree on that.
Yeah. अब देखिए कहीं पर कोई एक्सीडेंट हो जाते गाड़ी वाले को पीट लेते.
Road rage.
You see, and even amongst good people, 2 गाड़ी के टक्कर हो गई, कोई गाड़ी को डैमेज नहीं, अपने पूरे फ्लाईओवर पर जाम लगा के वहीं आर्ग्यू कर रहे हैं. भाई आपकी 25 लाख की गाड़ी, उसकी 20 लाख की, ये इंश्योरेंस भर लेगा यार. You don't need to create a jam. Have you thought about it? मतलब think about it. Somebody is coming from the wrong side of the road. आपने हॉर्न मारा, वो आपको देखा जब आप गलत हो. हाँ. इतने गुस्से में.
That has happened.
Rage. Can we calm down? Not be so angry. But why is everybody angry? Individually, you can be an angry person. I can be. He can be. Your mom can be. But why are we as a society so angry? Or why are we outraging over sometimes useless things as a society? जैसे रणवीर आलाबादिया. Because we are going through psychologically, we are connected at a macro level, right? And eventually, humanity is connected to the universe at a much more macro level. So, can we work on this aspect as mental health, as policy, and maybe introduce a curriculum right in school, maybe in kindergarten, teaching children right and wrong, appropriate behavior? For example, I have a 2-year-old son. Now, I realize that my son, obviously because he has an entourage, he is now used to getting things. So now, what I've started doing is, you want water? You will come to the kitchen and ask the nanny for water.
Okay.
Aake pucho. He's only 2.
Yeah.
Because you have to instill this. I don't want my son to be... So that on an individual level. But on a macro level, can we now have classes on a macro level? So basics can be instilled in kids.
Okay.
And psychological studies can start at a basic kindergarten or first. You don't have to teach them psychology. But psychologically, you teach them how to behave as human beings in groups, thereby making them better people in groups. Individually, I may be fantastic and you may be fantastic. But in a group, if we are a mob, or we're behaving badly, or we're rushing in, or we're taking somebody else's seat, or we're fighting, that's not good as well. So can we start focusing on that as policy?
I think that is a very interesting perspective because if we have to look at the psychology of India or a country or a community or a state, we need to go back and look at the history. And what we call in our psychology terms is collective unconscious. So we have a collective unconscious that we have inherited from generational fathers and mothers and grandfathers and all. And that collective unconscious, we are not aware about it, but we have instilled it. And that's why we behave the way we behave unconsciously, because we as a society are like that.
Correct.
And the way that you have put it, ki we need to study that and then provide education in relation to that. We can teach soft skills, life skills, social skills on the same note, and it has to start very early.
Correct.
We don't need to wait for them to grow up and then teach them when they come into the society.
True.
We need to start teaching them at home. But that again, that is, I think, बहुत आगे का सोच रहे हैं हम, because अभी इंडिया वो भी नहीं कर सकता, I think.
But उसके लिए मेरी ज़रूरत है ना.
Exactly. उससे पहले भी कि educating about कि mental health की importance.
Correct.
Providing tele mental
Support.
health services और insurance में डालो mental health को. And one more topic that I want to raise on this platform, because a lot of audience will be coming for this video because of you, and we are getting a lot of viewers. So even as someone who is consulting politicians and policymakers and talking about all of these things, psychologists are very underpaid in India.
Totally. And it is the most noble and the greatest profession. We need, और पता है क्या होता है? People take professionals in India for granted.
That's very true.
तो वो क्या अरे so for example, psychologist के पास appointment है 10 मिनट लेट आएगी. Dentist के पास appointment है 5 मिनट लेट आएगी. वो गाड़ी तो 1 करोड़ की खरीदेंगे, बट प्रोफेशनल की फीस देने में बार्गेनिंग करेंगे. We have to change this attitude. ये बहुत ज़रूरी है, because a professional gives his or her time. That time has value.
And they have a lot of years of study.
That's what. So I'll give you a story. A person went to a psychologist like you, young, good-looking psychologist. Old man went, and the psychologist heard the person. 30 minutes का session था, and said $500. He asked, so says $500 for 30 minutes. So he says, no, $500 is not for 30 minutes. $500 is for studying all of this, so that I could give you 30 minutes and solve your problem. The 20 years that I studied to reach you. That is what we don't value our professionals.
Yeah.
That's the point that we need to change also as people. We have to take time seriously. We have to take professionals, their professionalism seriously. Like today I had to come for this podcast at a given time. I was here 5 minutes before.
Yes, you
or
were.
7 minutes. There's no point in being a star and saying I'm coming 1 hour late. Why? And keep you waiting, keep everybody waiting. You've also got the studio. There's a time limit to it. You have other guests to do. You have other things to do. It's unfair on you.
Yeah.
Why can't we just be professional? You've called me for a professional podcast. I'm here professionally to do a podcast. We can both be professional with each other.
I think we were talking backstage only, me and my mom, that you were here so early and on time.
Yeah.
That is something that we don't see normally.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what happened. So on my way here, I told my gunman, you get down, you have lunch, because I have 2-3 places to go and I won't have time to have lunch. He won't have time. I said, I'll go to the studio and come back. So you have to manage your time. You have to be a professional. You can't waste your time and other people's time because you want to throw a tantrum. So we have to make these changes.
Have you ever been to a therapist before?
No, I haven't been to a therapist, but I did go through a bout of depression at one point of time. I did.
Can we talk about it?
Yeah, it was many years ago when I was young and I lost my father. So
Okay.
I did go through a bout of depression. We all do.
Yeah.
The teenage years. Yeah, so
How
I did.
did you overcome that?
Discovered myself. Went through a rigorous process of discovering myself. I went through a bout of depression when I also had a fight with my younger brother and we separated.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
How are your relations now then?
I mean, we chat on WhatsApp occasionally with regards to my son, but no, we're not in touch. But that also is good because there'll be too much dirt otherwise in public. So sometimes it's good to be a little distant.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did go through a bout of depression. Not depression, but I went through a very hard time when he and I did separate because I brought him up like a son. So I did go through something. It was, but I worked, but by then I was on my spiritual journey. My chakras were opening up. So I did go through a lot. There was also a lot of cleansing that I went through. So yeah.
So you were able to find yourself in your most difficult times?
You always find yourself in your most difficult times.
Yeah.
Like my MMA fight, which I'll refer to again, when I was fighting a much better, stronger, taller, powerful opponent. I knew यार ये पंच के बाद अगर मैं नहीं गिरा तो अब तो मैं गिरूंगा ही नहीं. वही था ना. That was his best punch. It hurt me, didn't kill me. If this is not kill me, और क्या करेगा? इससे ज़्यादा वो मारेगा नहीं. So you always find yourself in your most difficult times.
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Always makes you stronger. What doesn't kill you will always make you stronger. So in your most difficult times, you'll find something. Remember, there's a story of a man, he went to a church, he was upset with God that he didn't have good shoes until he saw somebody who did not have feet. And he realized. There's a beautiful Sufi song of Bulle Shah. It's in Coke Studio. अब ये कोक स्टूडियो पाकिस्तान होगा शायद, तो आप प्लीज़ स्टूडियो को नहीं तोड़ना है, नहीं तोड़ना है, यूट्यूब पे बैन नहीं करना है. बुले शाह का सॉन्ग है, बट इट्स अ वेरी ब्यूटीफुल सॉन्ग. So the song is, the person's asking Bulle Shah that you're a fakir, right? Bulle Shah is a fakir. How come you're always happy and praising God? And Bulle Shah says that I've seen suns that rise, go down. I've seen that I've seen people struggle for small things. I have everything God's given me. I can
seen
only
sons growing up without fathers. I have heard that song.
Yeah. So,
it's one of my most favorite songs.
So he says, sir, मुझे क्या है? He says, God's given me everything. I'm happy. I'm living in His.
क्यों ना शुक्र मनावा.
क्यों ना शुक्र मनावा.
It's God's grace.
It's God's grace. It's क्यों ना शुक्र मनावा.
I think that's beautiful. So
it starts with उगते सूरज ढलते देखे.
Yes, exactly.
Play
It's
that.
a beautiful
Yeah.
song. Beautiful.
लोग कहते दाल नहीं गलती, हमने पत्थर.
पत्थर.
So it's beautiful. लोग कहते दाल नहीं गलती, हमने पत्थर.
यहाँ पे I am vibing with you.
Yeah. So he says, sir, क्या problem है? He says, what's the problem? Life is great, beautiful. What? And therefore, I always say one thing. Whenever anyone who messages me and they ask me how I'm doing, I'll always say life is brilliant, Hakuna Matata. I always say that. It's my standard line. I'll always say that. Life is brilliant, Hakuna Matata. Because life is so comfortable. और क्या? और क्या? I won't fly first class, I'll fly private. I won't fly this, I'll do this. मैं ये नहीं करूँगा, वो करूँगा. But life तो है, I'm alive, I'm happy, I've got a son, I've got life, I've got happiness, I've got the studio, I'm here, I'm doing. From here, I've got a meeting, I've got TV shows. What else do I want in life? Why should I be unhappy? Can I not celebrate what I have? Do I want more? Yes, I do. I'm not saying I'm not ambitious. But do I, because I want more, not enjoy what I have today?
I think you need to appreciate what you have.
Yeah.
And not expect all the time. Just aim for greater things.
Yeah.
But don't be disappointed when you don't get them.
Yeah, so it's not like I'm not ambitious. I do want to run. And I think I'll be great in running India. But I'm not going to be upset that today I'm not running India. No? I've got to be practical. And tomorrow I may not. Life is strange. Not everything goes your way. I wanted to get the guy down and beat him on the mat. He didn't go down. Life is strange. You don't always get your way. But accept what you have.
We would love to see you run India.
Hopefully. Let's see how that goes. I'll be good though, I think, for the nation. But it's not a one-man show, right? It has to be a good team. Imagine if I have the current finance ministry with me. कुछ भी नहीं होगा ठीक. और सिर्फ first thing, when I run the country, I'll cut Babus by 50%. All IS 50% cut. First cabinet decision.
Why?
जितना बाबूस होगे उतना देश आगे नहीं बढ़ेगा. Second cabinet decision, no law will be more than 1 page longer. If you have to explain a law, the law will be used for blackmailing. All laws will be shortened to 1 page. Simple, बताओ law क्या है.
Anything else?
First 2 decisions. Then we'll see.
Okay. That sounds very interesting. It's like something, I could have a spin-off if India was under Tehseen Poonawalla.
I visualize this. It's not under me. I will be a part of running it. How
Yeah.
should it be under me? It's a democracy.
Ruling India.
Governing.
Governing
Ruling is
India.
not good. Ruling Modi ji karte hai. I will govern.
So that brings
Oops, Modi ji's fans are upset. No breaking studios.
Okay, so that brings me to my last question before I end this episode. I don't want to. I'm enjoying this conversation a lot.
Thank you.
It's very fun, very enlightening. Something that I have not expected. मैं ये इस episode करने से पहले ऐसा कुछ नहीं सोचा था मैंने. So I am very much enjoying this. हमारी
But
audience
see,
को.
you trusted me. I told you, just go with.
Yeah.
We'll do this.
Yeah.
Let's not.
Yeah. So the question that I want to put in the end, because you mentioned Modi ji, is if PM Modi was sitting here in front of you right now, what advice you would give to him for governing India, for making India better?
I wouldn't advise the Prime Minister because honestly, he's a very experienced leader and a very sorted human being. He's very, very experienced and he does understand a lot more, I believe, than I do. So I wouldn't advise him. What I would discuss with him is two things. One, I would take his advice. I would listen to his years of experience because यार एक आदमी साधारण परिवार से थर्ड टाइम प्राइम मिनिस्टर बनना, तीन टाइम वो पहले चीफ मिनिस्टर थे. I mean, his life is a success story.
Yeah.
So I would want to take that in, to learn that from him. So first मैं उनसे सीखूंगा. And second, if I had to work with Modi ji on some issue, I would want to work on quantum computers in India. I think India requires a quantum computer and artificial intelligence will take over. So we need to have policies with regards to that. The reason I'm saying that is with the coming of quantum computers, you're going to have solutions for cancer, Alzheimer's, dementia, etc., as I've said. So we have to be quantum ready. All what we have today will be obsolete. So we got to prepare our infrastructure for that. Once quantum computers come in, you'll have quantum communication, which will communicate with each other almost at the speed of light. So that can affect your cyber security. We are a nuclear country, so nuclear is again quantum in nature.
Yeah.
So we'll have to be very clear on what we're doing. So I think we need to create that groundwork for the next decade. Artificial intelligence and jobs related to that. And third that I would like to work with the Prime Minister on is tax terrorism in our country. It is terrible. The bureaucrats are harassing people. Ordinary businessmen find it very difficult to do business in India. There's extortion with regards to GST in India that needs to stop. I don't think that the Prime Minister means bad for India. I think he means good for India.
Yeah.
As much as I'm a political opponent of his. I think he, in a lot of ways, he's a good Prime Minister. Some things he can do better. I would like him to get a handle on the finance ministry, which has gone berserk. And this business of snooping on people's emails and WhatsApps has to stop.
Yeah.
The finance ministry's proposal is draconian. So I think eventually, it will be struck down by courts, but I do hope the Prime Minister himself steps into these issues. But mostly if I was spending time with the Prime Minister, मैं तो उनसे ज्ञान नहीं लूँगा. मैं क्यों ज्ञान दूँ? अपना क्यों उनको ज्ञान दूँ? उनसे ज्ञान, वो कितने, I just think उनका कितना experience है. उनके साथ ही बैठकर, I'll sit next to his legs and I'll listen to him. वो 1-1.5 घंटा बात करेगा, सुनूंगा ना मैं. I'll take it in. मेरी ज़िंदगी में काम ही आएगा ना उनका एक्सपीरियंस. वो तो एक्सपीरियंस मैंने प्रैक्टिकली तो जिया नहीं, पर उनके कितनी ज़िंदगी में एक्सपीरियंसेस हो गए, स्ट्रगल्स हो गए. आई लिसन टू दैट ना, से मोटिवेशन मिलेगा.
Who wouldn't want that?
एग्जैक्टली. तो मैं वही सुनूंगा ना. प्लस वो उन्होंने एज पीएम क्या किया, क्या नहीं किया, क्या चैलेंजेस आए उनके सामने, क्या कठिनाई आई, उन पर अगर बातचीत हो. सो टुमारो व्हेन आई एम इन पावर ऑफ और इन गवर्नेंस, आई कैन वर्क ऑन दैट. I can take that experience. So I would rather take from him. उनको दूँ क्यों, उनसे लूँगा ना मैं.
That's a great perspective.
Yeah.
And I think the way you mentioned it, it's like I want PM Modi to sit in front of me and have a podcast with me and talk to him, learn about his experiences.
Visualize it.
I'm manifesting him here.
Write it down on your. Do you have a diary journal?
Yeah.
So journal it, put it on your, and look in the mirror. So I'll give you this tip. Look in the mirror, and every morning, as soon as you get up, for the first 10 minutes, your mind is in a state of, not your brain, your mind is still in a state of semi-consciousness and consciousness, right? That is the critical golden period. Live your manifestation in that period.
So when I wake up,
as soon as you wake up, don't touch your phone, don't do anything.
Just visualize.
Visualize.
I'll try that.
Yeah, it'll work.
And if PM Modi sits on this chair in front of
फिर
me,
आप मुझे बोलो कि इसने करवाया.
that would be like, oh, I will be a fan of yours.
Yeah. So you're not a fan of mine,
I
no?
am.
What nonsense.
I am.
इतना मैंने podcast किया not.
मैंने start में बोला था that I love your opinions. You have such a logical, such a rational thinking, and that's what I love about you. That's why I follow you. That's why I follow your ideologies, your perspective, and the things that you say about things. And that's why I appreciate you, and that's why we have you on Namah Talks. So thank you so much, Tehseen.
Thank you. What do we say, Nama? Thank you.
Nama Namaskar.
No, to end it.
Nama Namaskar.
Okay, Nama Namaskar. And thank you so much for having me. Thank you. And thank you to the team, your mom.
Yeah.
Get a picture of hers also and put it on the podcast.
She will be coming as a guest soon.
When
I am much worthy of having her on this chair.
She should interview you.
Oh, yeah.
That will be a better thing.
Sure. I will pitch that to her.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Tehseen, for giving us your time.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure to have you on Namah Talks. I hope कि इतना अच्छा इसको प्यार मिले इस वीडियो को कि वी हैव अनदर एपिसोड सून. ऑडियंस कमेंट्स में ऐसा प्यार दिखाए. इस वीडियो को फ्रेंड्स और फैमिली तक शेयर करिए. जितना अपने फ्रेंड्स तक आप शेयर करेंगे, फैमिली तक शेयर करेंगे, उतना हमें प्यार मिलेगा. एंड तहसीन विल बी कमिंग अगेन. कमेंट्स करिए, चैनल को सब्सक्राइब करना मत भूलिएगा, बेल आइकन बजाइए सो दैट हमारी नेक्स्ट वीडियो जब भी आए आपको पता चले. थैंक यू. दिस इज़ योर होस्ट खुशी के गुंद.
रख दे तू कोई दिल विच गल्लां रब दिया बंदिया तू सब जाने अपने अंदर लेके तुरदा क्यों फिक्रां विच पल तू गवावें कुछ राज तेरे कट अपने लिए तू समा